Look, there are a lot of good people within churches, and you know that's the case. And you know, and you very well know, that pedophiles and people who prey on kids aren't only within the church, they're right through society. You know that, but you also know there's a lot of good people within various churches that are battling to encourage our youth to attend positive youth activities, including music, drama, camping and other pursuits that lead to better morals, standards and self-respect, and you very well know that.
Fine,
they're not a bunch of sex predators, as you would have people to believe, that just go around corrupting our youth.
Those in glass houses don't throw stones. If you want to call for something, make sure your own yard's tidy.
Listen, the minute is to think about the problems that drugs cause in society as well.
I think we all know that
the churches still have to pick up the pieces from drugs and alcohol in this country, despite Nguyen Chong Van hanging. What do you do? What do you do in society to help other people yourself, except ring up on this program? Maybe we should have a minute's silence because of your stupid phone call.
While the world is going crazy,
there is no way in this country now that we can get to the truth or justice.
I reckon that they're up to mischief.
Our democracy has gone right out the window.
Well, that's certainly true, and it's a very serious...
There is one team you can rely on.
Peter Beattie. Hello, Peter.
Good morning, Jeff. How's wonderful Rocky?
One team you can trust.
I don't think he's a very intelligent fellow. And
one team that is dedicated to this city.
All right, thank you for coming on.
All right, Jeff. Good on you, mate.
4RO, the voice of Central Queensland. Jeff Goodwin, the voice of Central Queensland.
Every morning, there you are, and I am Rap. You've got a fantastic show.
You think I've got a good show?
Yes, mate. You've got the best program on air.
Oh, well, look, I like listening to you, and I've been listening to you ever since we moved here into Rocky. I like listening to you, Jeff, and I think you're entertaining.
On the line is Sarah Storer. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Jeff. How you going?
Finally made it.
Jeff Goodwin, 6 to 9 weekdays on 4RO, the voice of Central Queensland.
What's the conditions like there at this moment there in Innisfail?
It's blowing an absolute gale outside. I don't know how to estimate the speed of wind by looking at it, but I wouldn't like to be out there on the street.
Yeah, 290. They were saying around 280, so it could well get up to 300 perhaps.
Well, exactly. And also, once it's past us, of course, the people on the Atherton Tableland have then got to deal with it right out to the Western Goldfields.
Okay.
So there's certainly going to be a wide area of North and Far North Queensland affected. It's made a beeline directly for Innisfail.
On the line, General Peter Cosgrove. How are you, Peter?
Oh, well, how are you?
I'm very well. General Peter Cosgrove, no doubt you're flat out there, so we'll make this as quick as possible. The federal and state governments need to pledge more money as this estimated cost of Cyclone Larry cleanup tops about $1 billion. Your original estimation of this, has it changed now that you're there?
Not really. I believe that the governments well and truly appreciate that the first tranche of funds that they have put aside for relief and recovery up here was just that, a first and important contribution. But now what we've got to do is start to appreciate and quantify the sort of funds needed for a longer term and more comprehensive recovery.
How you going, Jeff?
I'm well.
Mate, listen, on this ADD and all these other lettered things that they're telling that our kids have got, my 14-year-old boy now just moved in with me 8 months ago. He was on 40 grams of Ritalin in the morning with another tablet, I can't recall its name, another 40 grams in the afternoon, and then sleeping tablets at night time.
Okay.
While he was on these tablets, he was failing school miserably. He was completely uncontrollable and mate, just out there in space.
So why was he originally prescribed this medication then?
Well, I believe, mate, it was to get the $89 that they pay extra for caring for these kids.
You think so?
Oh, mate, I'm certain of it because,
mate,
when I took him in to the psychiatrist myself, when he moved out, he came out for his 13th birthday and decided he wasn't going back to his mother's.
Yeah.
So then I took over all the responsibilities. I went into his psychiatrist and they told me that Ritalin wasn't bad for my child. I showed him a heap of facts that I'd retained off the internet on my second visit.
Yeah.
Now, mate, we've retaken it after several appointments and several arguments with doctors and psychiatrists. They let me have a chance of having him without the tablets.
Yes.
He's gone from a student that was failing and uncontrollable to the point they were going to suspend him at school to a student now that gets A's and B's, and the teachers, he's now
good on him.
And he's a level 1 student.
These figures here absolutely astound me. Have a listen to this. Back in 1993,
3,659 scripts were handed out in Queensland for ADHD. 3,659 scripts. That was back in 1993. Guess how many scripts were handed out 10 years later in 2003?
30,000?
36,362. Now, that's an epidemic.
Yep.
That's an epidemic. That's a 1,900% increase in Queensland with people with ADHD. You can't tell me that all those kids have been diagnosed with ADHD correctly.
And if you have a look at statistics and look at marriage breakdowns, they're nearly on par with the same statistics.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff. What I want to talk to you about is what people who pay private super contributions are missing out with the government's policies on super. How they tax you more than once, they tax you at least twice. Well, how it works, you know, the ad on TV with the big pink pig and how the government says they'll give you up to $1,500 a year.
Yeah. You put in a certain amount of super and they'll match that. They say, well, to a certain extent anyway.
Yeah. Well, if you put in $1,000, they'll give you $1,500 if your income is $27,000 or less.
Yeah.
Well, anybody who earns $27,000, they can't afford to pay private super. Most people have other bills and things to pay, and you can't afford to just whack money away in private super unless you've got an income of a minimum of $40,000. Do you agree with that?
Well, it is hard. It is hard to do that, but the government wants to encourage people, even on the lower incomes, to do that. So, but you've got a very good point. How on earth are you going to find the money?
Yeah, well,
if you're on that lower income.
Even if you've got an income of $40,000 and a family and house payments and private medical cover and things, paying at least $1,000 to get what they say is $1,500 is near impossible. But if you've got an income of $40,000 and you pay $1,000 private super, their co-contribution comes down to something like $750.
Yeah.
And with your income being $40,000, over $20,000, you've been taxed at 30 cents in the dollar to start with.
That's right. So yeah, it all adds on to each other.
So they've taxed you 30% of the $750 they're going to give you, and then when you go to access that money when you turn 55 to 65 to get your super,
another tax applies.
Yeah, well, on the first 115,000 they tax you another 15%, and any amount over 115 they tax you 30%.
Yeah, that's right.
So they've got 30% of your 750 to start with if you've earned 40,000, and then when you go to get the rest, they tax another 30% of it. So and they've made interest on your money over a period of time. So in fact, the government co-contribution is zero. You get nothing from them. They give you absolutely nothing.
In the end, it doesn't seem much at all, does it?
It's zero.
Yeah. So we were talking about this yesterday, saying that we shouldn't really be paying taxes on our superannuation contributions because this is what we need as our nest egg. Yeah, and obviously, as we're going to spend our superannuation in our retirement, we're going to be paying taxes as we spend the money anyway.
Yeah,
aren't we?
Yeah. Well, what you're talking about on air this morning is the government employer contributions. Well, they should not be taxed to start with, and then your personal contributions, they shouldn't. They're trying to encourage you to make personal contributions so you're saving for the future.
Yeah, but my point is, I don't think any of it should be taxed, whether it be personal or employer contributions.
No, that's exactly right. They'd save themselves money in the long run on people not having to be on the pension there.
You've just got to wonder that there must have been someone who saw something. The scumbag who put this in her bag obviously knows that he did it or she did it. They're quite content to sit back and watch Chappelle go through this torture, and someone else must have seen this scumbag put it into the bag. They're also, or they seem to be content to watch Chappelle go through this torture. I hope they track these people down. We don't seem to be hearing too much about the effort that the authorities are going through here in Australia to find these mongrels.
Well, you're exactly right. No one seems to be wanting to know who put the bloody stuff in my daughter's bag, or where, or why. It's like, Chappelle, leave her there, And it's just, if it was someone else's daughter, someone higher, she wouldn't have been even there probably more than a day. And it's just disgusting. And the security in the airports, domestic airports. They don't care about us.
What about this prisoner exchange idea they're talking about?
Oh, look, mate, she's not bloody guilty of anything.
Jeff Goodwin, the voice of Central Queensland.
How are you, Kip?
Very well, thanks.
On the line is Chapel Corby's mother, Rosalie. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
David Hicks' father, Terry Hicks. Hello, Terry. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Shadow Foreign Affairs Minister Kevin Rudd on the program. How are you, Kevin?
Good to be with you.
The Democrats' Foreign Affairs spokesperson, Natasha Stop-the-Spoyer. Hi, Natasha.
Good morning, how are you?
Good, nice to talk to you again.
Goodwin, 6 to 9 weekdays on 4RO, the voice of Central Queensland.